Good evening. This is a video that describes, explains, and empirically supports my insights in relation to using literature in foreign language learning. I have included the contributions of my classmates about all the topics. In the first unit, Literature and the Foreign Language Classroom, I found that after reading about the role of literature in language classes, I think that literature is a valuable tool since it provides the usage of the language in the real context, develops critical thinking, comprehension, vocabulary, and the mechanical of the language. All these elements are only possible if teachers consider attractive reading plans or activities regarding the text, such as predictions about it or pictures to support it, and the characteristics of the text by exploring different styles and contents. In my own experience, as I have mentioned in a previous post, I have used fragments of famous texts such as The Ghost of Canterville. I have talked to adults mostly, and I have noticed that they enjoy a story with a touch of humor. Previous to the text, I asked them to read a paragraph about Oscar Wilde, mostly his personal characteristics. I want them to have a background about the style of the author. In Unit 2, we learned about overview of approaches to using literary texts in foreign language learning. We consider there different approaches such as communicative approach and grammar translation. I think that teachers should consider different approaches and create an integrated approach using creativity to motivate students and create a literary experience for them while they learn and practice different skills. I think that we all have different impressions about everything, including literature, of course. Let's take the text, My Delicate Heart Condition. We all had different impressions about the same reading. Pedro, for example, said, My first impression about the text by reading the title was about a health story, while Ana Maria expressed, I thought it was a story about a teenager who fell in love. I agreed with Pedro. I thought that it was a story about an actual heart condition. Then, why would we use only one method instead of choosing the best of each one of them according to our students, considering that we all are different? I think that is our challenge to be able to adapt our style and our students' learning and the approaches available to us, and so design a valuable literary experience. During Unit 3, we explored the cross-cultural issues in using literature in language learning. We learned that these issues can enrich the literature experience by acquiring new vocabulary, learning about different cultures, learning to use formal and informal speech, with the help and guidance of the teacher, of course. For example, the story My Daughter the Fox, which was my favorite. Even when the vocabulary was different and it was a British text, it was interesting to me. I never felt it was hard to understand or so difficult that I couldn't enjoy it. But I learned some new words, they were new to me, such as nappy or pram. In the story All American Slurp, I didn't feel identified with the main character by the story itself, but by her feelings of awkwardness, let's say, and how inappropriate we can be or feel sometimes in a different or unfamiliar environment. During Unit 4, evaluating materials and preparing a literature-based language learning activity, we could analyze the elements that we as teachers must consider when preparing the text and materials that we are going to use in such an activity. Aspects like including illustrations or being aware of students' level and background are very important. Students will appreciate a text according to their own experiences. For example, I loved reading to Nick's description of himself relating his own story to the text when he says, and just like Harriet, I had to train myself to hide the most sensitive part of me. And you realize you have a romantic heart too. I think that he actually had a literature experience, which is great. To accomplish that, the supporting material has an important role. Jimena, for example, said about the material of that text, I found interesting reflecting on all those details required by the workshop. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you.